I just wanted to take a moment and thank Anthony. He's the person and the reason why we're all here. It's been his vision, and what an amazing organization for brokers, and I'm very sensitive to it. So let's take a minute and thank Anthony for putting this together for us. Thank you. It's absolutely amazing what he has done in such a short period of time. And listen, hey, I was one of you guys, right? I was a mortgage broker for so many years and originated as a mortgage broker, had a company that acted as a broker. So listen, I get it. I'm one of you. Now, since then, I've, as you've heard in the bio, done some other interesting things, but I'm here to talk with you today about what's going on in the market. And I want to also tell you that I have never been more concerned about the survival of mortgage professionals as I am right now. So we're going to talk about that today. It's going to be a little bit of a sobering talk, but I think it's going to be really enlightening. We're going to have some fun together. But you know, you probably may or may not know some of the people in the room next to you. So there was a study by the University of Michigan. That study was one that helped to determine people's personalities. Now you probably know this, but the right side of your brain controls your left motor functions, and the left side of your brain controls your right motor functions. So literally, your brain is wired like this. So what we've discovered through the University of Michigan studies, you can tell a lot about a person by their mannerisms and things that they do. And this is a great tip for you to use with people. So let's do it together. Just put your hands out just like this, everybody. On the count of three, I want you to clasp your hands together, hold them there, okay? 1, 2, 3. Just clasp them together, hold them up so I can see. It's a little hard with the lights, but let me see here. Okay, wow, this is interesting. Okay, so how about this? If your right thumb is on top of your left thumb, raise your hand. Okay, good. Look at how you mostly sit together too. All right, so according to this study, you are a thinker. That means you're highly cerebral, great problem solver. When there's a deal blowing up in the office, what do I do? They come running to you, right? And you fix those problems. Now, who has your left thumb over your right thumb? Raise your hand nice and high. Raise it nice and high. Figures the majority of the room, left thumb over your right thumb. Okay, according to the study, the University of Michigan says if your left thumb was over your right thumb, then you are sexy. Okay, so by the way, you right thumb people, too late, you can't switch, okay? I don't make this stuff up. This is what the study shows. Now, so many of them, this was what was interesting. I don't know what's going on here in Denver. You know, certain things are legal here, but you know, you guys, so many of you didn't have your right thumb, you didn't have your left thumb, you had your thumbs kind of together. So you weren't thinker, weren't sexy. But the study shows that you folks, well, you think you're sexy. And you know, that's good with me, okay? So that's a good vibe to get started with here. Hey, who saw this commercial, which is the Quicken commercial for Rocket Mortgage? I mean, it's a brilliant commercial, okay? Anybody see this commercial? It aired during the Super Bowl, first time it aired. Michael Keegan Key. I'll tell you what, I'm going to play it and just check it out if you haven't seen it.
I'm going to start with some balayage clip-ins, then razor cut up to a blunt angled lob. I'm dead, I'm back. It's going to be everything.
What?
He's going to make your hair long, then cut it short to make it big.
Oh, okay.
What's the strongman?
It's a pea protein gluten-free pate.
It's a burrito filled with plants pretending to be meat.
Last night took an L, but you're not a bounce back.
What's an L?
The rap singer took a loss, and now he's okay again.
Right.
Every week I bounce back.
Living large.
Living with his mama.
Likes long walks.
Doesn't have a car.
Entrepreneur.
Unemployed.
Oh! Yeah, you can get a mortgage that avoids PMI, but there's no way to avoid MIP on an FHA. Now,
This'll help.
Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans makes the complex simple.
Right.
Understand the details and get approved in as few as 8 minutes.
there's also origination fees and escrow accounts.
This takes care of it, thank you.
Rocket Mortgage, America's largest mortgage lender.
It's just a great dot.
What'd you think of the commercial? It's good, funny commercial. How does it make you feel as a mortgage professional? Does it piss you off? Well, it should. Hey, look, I mean, hats off to them. It's a brilliant commercial, but what did they portray the mortgage professional as? A bumbling idiot. You're exactly right, okay? I mean, just think about that. And that's what they want to portray, is that the mortgage professional's an idiot. Why do you need them? And as he says at the end, the mortgage professional saying, oh, we could do that. And he's got, shows him the hand. He goes, shows him his phone and says, this will take care of it, okay? Never before has this industry been more under attack, not by regulators. Nothing compares to technology trying to take over your business. Every single day, it is relentless. And by the way, do you think Rocket Mortgage is the end? This is just the tip of the iceberg. It's just starting. Look, I can come into your office today and I can rip out your phone system. You probably get a lot of work done. Yes? Yes? What if I came and I shut off your internet? Can you do a darn thing? One thing can you do. Play solitaire. That's about it, yeah? Okay? Might as well go home. Can't do a thing. Do you know the internet's 22 years old? That's it. Not 222 years old. 22 years old. What do you think it's going to be like in the next 5 years? In the next 3 years? It is incredible how much it's advancing, and mortgage professionals and real estate agents are under attack right now. Look, I could ask everybody in this conference, if you're a salesperson or an advisor, I can ask that question. In fact, I can go anywhere. I just spoke at Mastermind. We had 1,300 people there, and I could ask every single person this question: are you a salesperson or advisor? I could ask 10,000 mortgage professionals, are you a salesperson or an advisor? Everyone would raise their hand and say, I'm an advisor. You know what I'd say to that? Bullshit. Why are you an advisor? Why? Think about it. Why? Because you know how to put a loan app together? Because you know how to read a tax return? Why? You know how to qualify somebody? So you think it's a good idea for somebody to go to a mortgage person who doesn't know how to qualify somebody, doesn't know how to read a tax return, doesn't know how to put a loan together? That doesn't make you an advisor. That is the absolute minimal price of admission. I'm not telling you this to give you a hard time. I'm telling you this because it's time for some tough love in this business, because the days of forget about low-hanging fruit. The fruit was delivered to your door. That's over. Refinances are down 34% year over year, and it's going to get worse. You don't want to be a travel agent, okay? Remember when the travel agency was on every corner? Who can remember when the travel agency was on every corner, right? Millennials are saying, what the frig is a travel agent, right? Yeah, you're right, because travel agents have become essentially extinct. Why? You don't need it. Your phone will do everything. So if that's the case, what can we learn from this? Can we learn something from stockbrokers who used to be ubiquitous everywhere, but when they were charging $300 or $400 a trade, and then $9.99 trades came out, or $10, $8 a trade, whatever it was, put a lot of them out of business, but not all of them. There's still a lot of stockbrokers out there. They're making more money than ever. Why? Because they decided to take the road of an advisor. And being an advisor is really important, team. You know, the commission portion of it, don't think the numbers don't come out. The commissions are the largest portion of the transaction. The largest cost of the transaction is the commission. So if you don't think there's trying every day to figure ways to save that, cut into that, replace it with technology, I think that you might not be guarding yourself. What you have to do is you have to have that mindset of a CEO. What does a great CEO do? Sure, they're a visionary for the future, which is what you want to be. They plan out their business, but they also guard and protect. They look beyond the headlights. They want to see the future before it becomes obvious. They want to be able to say, what is out there that can hurt me, and how can I protect myself? So that's why what we want to try and do is we want to try and change some of the things that we're doing, but it's been very easy for a long time. So this requires some changes to your belief system. And belief systems are really, really difficult to change. The belief system for you, for your real estate agent, for your customers, there's a lot of things that are hard to change. Let me give you an example of how hard it is to change your belief system. Okay, everyone, please, close your eyes for a moment. I want you to imagine you're in your car. In fact, put your hands out like they're on the steering wheel, okay? Hands out on the steering wheel like you're in your car and you're driving in your neighborhood. Now I want you to come up to a stop sign that you're familiar with in your neighborhood. Close your eyes, put your hands out. Do the exercise with me, you'll enjoy it. Look up at that stop sign in your mind's eye. Everybody tell me, what color is the stop sign? Red. Would you be willing to bet that it's red? You're sure it's red, right? Okay, yes, except here's the thing, you'd be wrong. Take a look. See, a stop sign's not red, a stop sign's red and white. But we'd all have that ingrained in our mind that it's red, that we really believed it. We would have bet on it, but we would have bet wrong. Belief systems are hard to change. Okay, so now you know how the game's played. Let's do one more so we get it right. Close your eyes one more time. In your car, hand on the steering wheel. You're driving down the road. You look up and you see a yield sign. Now tell me, what color or colors is that yield sign? Everybody tell me. Yellow and black, that's right. And this time for sure we'd bet on it because we know we're going to get it right, right? Well, yield sign's red and white, team. Yeah, I know, it's a little shocking. But this is why your belief system has to be open. You have to be open to change because there are things that we would absolutely bet on that are not right. And so as we talk today, I want you to have your mind open. I want you to have your belief system open because we're going to go through things that are a little bit different as a way of doing business. If you open yourself up to those opportunities in that way of doing business, I truly believe that you will protect yourself into the future. And that's what this is about today. It's protecting ourselves. See this guy here? Ignaz Semmelweis. You could Google him, you could look it up. Every single thing I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you some stories today. All the stories I tell you, you can verify, you can Google. They are all factual. This man in the 1850s, God bless you, see, it's true. This man in the 1850s was an assistant in childbirth. He was in the obstetrics as a physician's assistant. And Ignaz Semmelweis discovered something. You see, he worked in the most expensive, wonderful hospitals with the best doctors in Europe. He also worked in the poorest hospitals where people were indignant, homeless, came in to give childbirth. He worked with both, and then he discovered something. As an assistant, he discovered that the survival rates of children being born in the poorer hospitals was much, much better than the very, very exclusive high-end hospitals with the best doctors in the world. And in an effort to understand why, he discovered that those people that were poor that were coming in were oftentimes very dirty, so the doctors had to wash their hands. So he said, wait a minute, I've got a pattern here. Infant mortality is a much better rate in the poorer hospitals because they're washing their hands. He goes and he tells the high-end physicians this. And they're like, what? You lowly assistant, you're going to come in here and tell me to go and now insult my customers and my clients and my patients and tell them to wash their hands? I'll be ruined. You, sir, must be insane. And these physicians were so mean, they deemed him insane, and therefore he was committed to a mental institution for insulting them. The guy's not obviously he's not insane, so he resists. He resists, and what do the guards do? They beat him. They don't just beat him, they beat him to death. It's a true story. The same year he's beaten to death, guess what happens? Louis Pasteur comes out with the bacteria theory, and Joseph Lister, guess what product was named after him? Bingo. Comes out with the germ theory, Listerine. Discovered that he was right all along. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. Are you too good to wash your hands? I mean, I ask myself that every day. I put in the work. I always try to improve. Before today's talk, I worked on today's presentation so many times, but continued to tweak it and practice. Why? Because I have too much respect for the individuals that took valuable time to come here to not be prepared for you to give it my best. How much effort are you doing and giving and putting into before you talk to a customer on the phone? You know, a professional boxer trains 1,000 minutes for every minute in the ring. How many minutes are you training? Think about that, because that's what it's all about, team. So I did Rock of Ages on Broadway. It was great. We had other shows. We did the movie. It was really a great time. But you know, I've always loved music. I actually sing in a band. And in spite of me, our band is really good. So we've got some very, very talented musicians, and we play some pretty big venues. So the last couple of years, we were blessed enough to play the day before the Super Bowl. There's an enormous Super Bowl party, and celeb after celeb and professional athlete after professional athlete is there. We have a couple of thousand people come, and it's awesome. The guy who runs it is Kenny Dichter. He's the CEO of Wheels Up, a great private aviation company. So Kenny and I become friends, and the day before the Super Bowl, he calls me up and he says, Barry, I got something good for you. I said, what is it, Kenny? Kenny's always got some great stuff going on. He says, you want to have breakfast with Belichick? I'm like, really? So yeah, of course I do. Now, this is the day before the Super Bowl. Belichick's playing in the his team's playing in the Super Bowl tomorrow. I have breakfast with him, small table like this, okay? And I just wanted to sit at his feet and learn. Now, first of all, let me tell you, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I live in New Jersey. Giants fan, New York Giants fan, Jets fan too. So, based upon the media portrayal, quite honestly, I thought Belichick was kind of a dick, okay? But the truth of it is this guy's like such a great guy. I mean, he's a wonderful man. Nothing like the media portrays. And as I said, I just wanted to sit at his feet and learn from him. And he kind of got me thinking in so many ways. One of the things he really said is, what motivates you? And I just want to ask you that question. Because have you tapped into what motivates you, or you just go about it every day? Are you really kind of trying to tap into that to get better? Because if you think about what motivates you, you can also talk about what motivates your client, what motivates your realtor, what motivates your teammates. Perhaps you run a team of people. And if you do, have you taken the time to find out what motivates them? Now, money's an obvious one. Is money a motivator? Of course it is. I have no problem. Listen, I grew up extraordinarily poor. So yes, money is fine as a motivator. You should not be ashamed to say money motivates me. But there are other things too. Is it competition? Heck, I'm really competitive. I don't like to lose. I like to be the best. If I'm going to do something, I want to be the best. You want to too. What about your significant other? Maybe you'd like to provide a better life for your significant other. Maybe you just want your significant other to be proud of you. Is it your parents? Because, boy, I'll tell you what, I can tell you my parents sacrificed so much so that I might have some opportunity and put so much work into me. You probably have similar situations. Maybe you just want to honor your parents. That's a really big motivator. Whether they're with us or not, that they be proud of what you're doing every day. And then, of course, how about your kids? Do anything for them, right? So, what are you doing this for? Are you doing this because you have things that motivate you, that can bring out the best in you? Because if you do, I think it's really important to remember that. Because listen, Belichick said this to me. He said, great players can overcome bad coaching. Just think about that, because I was like, wow. Are you coaching your clients properly? Are you coaching your realtors properly? Are you coaching your teammates properly? Are you a great coach? He went on to cite all these examples, football analogies, of how these great players looked stupid, looked bad, because they were set up for failure because their scheme, their plan was wrong. Is your business plan sound? Do you have things that you need to change and focus on? And what I want to try and do is just kind of open you up, because I think the first thing we need to change is the financial culture. Now, do you have a financial culture in your office? Now, you walk into the office, you talk about the ball game last night. Do you talk about, the game between the Rockies and the Phillies? You talk about the show that was on, the latest episode of Fear the Walking Dead, or This Is Us, or whatever. I mean, the movie that's out there. Is that stuff that you're talking about in the office? Because that's okay. But don't you think you should be talking about the financial markets? Don't you think you should be talking about inflation creeping up and what that's going to mean? The Fed meeting today and what you expect from that and what that means to your customers? If you're not doing that, I have a big question for you. Why? Why? Because it's not sexy? Oh, it's not cool? Let me tell you what's really cool and sexy. Making a lot of freaking money. That's really cool. Look at Jeff Bezos before and after Amazon, case in point, okay? You want to be really sexy, make a lot of money, and be really knowledgeable on what you're doing. God bless you, it's true. You see, if I were to ask you what business you're in, you'd tell me I'm in the mortgage business. Oh, really? Try selling mortgages. Who the hell wants a mortgage? Put me in debt, baby. Give me a really big monthly payment. You know what? Make the monthly payment so big that I can't even go out to dinner anymore. That's what I really want. What's the old saying? The old saying is, if you go to buy a drill, do you really want the drill or do you want the hole? You know, what you want here is you want to use that mortgage. You want to use the mortgage to buy real estate. You're in the real estate business. You're in the money business. And you better understand that. Because that's what starts to embark upon this journey of being truly an advisor. An advisor is much more than quoting a rate. You don't need a person for that. You can get that on your phone, on your computer. You don't need a person for that. Do you agree with that? But if we start to say, how do we help people? Look, we know this. How do people buy a home? They start shopping where? Where do they start? Online, right? Internet. It's a visual process. And then if they go to see the home, it's like, oh my gosh, I really love this house. They get emotionally attached. But the decision to buy, make no mistake, that's done with their wallet or pocketbook. It is a financial decision. And how do realtors sell? Realtors sell, oh, read every single multiple listing service description. Don't take my word for it. Every single one. It's the same with different little things. Amazing hardwood floors, spacious closets, granite countertops, brand new cabinets, great schools, close proximity, blah, blah, blah. Same thing. Same dog, different fleas. That's not how somebody buys a home. And look, mortgage professionals, not too far behind. Tell me if this sounds familiar for by and large mortgage professionals. Hey, I'll get you approved. Very important. Get you approved on time. Get you closed on time. Great service. Fight for the lowest rate. Is that the vast majority of mortgage professionals' pitch? It's all the same. Same dog, different fleas. Now, I'm not going to say that's not important. It is. All of those things the realtor said and the mortgage professional said are important, except when the realtor shows them the house and brings them inside and says, and this is the kitchen. Oh, thank you. I was wondering what the stove was doing there. Goodness gracious. When we look at how professionals sell, everything they're saying is important, but it has nothing to do with how somebody buys. If buying is a financial decision, why are we not selling it from a financial perspective? And therein lies the gap between salesperson and advisor. You stop selling and you start advising if you understand that end of it. Everybody here is worried about the extra. Oh, I wish I just had an extra deal. I wish I had an extra deal. You already have the extra deal. You already have it. I love when I talk to mortgage professionals all over the country, and they tell me, you know, I lost that deal because our company's off in rate. We're an eighth higher in rate, lost the deal. Quarter higher in rate, lost the deal. Oh, really? You're telling me you never lost a deal when you were an eighth lower in rate? Baloney. You lost deals that way. You just don't talk about it because it's easier to make excuses than to make fixes. And look, I'm not the guy who's going to get up in front of you and say, oh, rate doesn't matter. Huh, I love when speakers do that. Speaker, you know, rate doesn't matter. Yeah, have you ever written one loan, sir? I know rate matters, but it can be overcome in many cases. Not all, but in many cases. You see, what this is all about, it's all about conversion. You already have that extra deal. Convert them. Turn them from conversation to application. You want to go the fastest route to create more wealth, better conditions for your family? Convert more of what you already have in your hand. That's the secret. People say, you know what? That person's so magnetic. I wish I could be magnetic. Being magnetic is great. You want to be magnetic? I'm going to give you the secret to being magnetic. Being magnetic is very simple. When somebody leaves your presence, make them feel smarter and better because they were in your presence. It's that simple. Make them feel smarter and better that they were in your presence, and they will want more. But there's no cheap way to do it. You can't fake that because you have to be authentic. You have to be authentic by being able to have done the work in advance of that. You see, the information you impart on them has to be something you've given effort into, so that the words that come out of your mouth, so that the feelings that they experience are something that's meaningful for them, that they're not getting regurgitated every single place else. The film doesn't lie. When you watch a sporting event, what are the athletes doing during the break? Football game, what are they on the sidelines looking at, everybody? Now it's like iPods. What are they looking at? The film, the previous play. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? Are you doing that? Are you? Or are you too good to wash your hands? Are you recording your phone conversations? because you will not believe the crap that comes out of your mouth, ladies and gentlemen. You can't fix it in the middle of the heat of battle. That's why athletes at the top of their game review what they did so they can see it removed from the heat of battle. You will be shocked at the things you say. Look, I've gotten to be good friends with Tony Robbins. He told me that what he used to do is he used to give 6, 7 talks a day to anyone who would listen. He didn't care if it was 1 person, 3 person, 5, because it was a way for him to practice and refine and sharpen and review, and he would record them. You know, I've recorded my phone conversations. I can't tell you how important that was. So when Bill Belichick told me, hey, even great players can't overcome bad coaching, I started doing it with my teammates, with my sales team. Very painstaking, listening, making corrections, refining. Let me tell you something, sales have gone through the roof since we've done this. Do you have a team? Listen to their phone conversations. Help them. By the way, you'll be very magnetic. You'll stop losing salespeople. You know the fastest and best way to stop losing salespeople to the relentless recruiting crap that's going on right now? Create value for them. Make them better. Because who cares if they make an extra 10 basis points or get an extra $10,000 somewhere else if what you're doing for them is making them better every single day and creating real wealth for them. That's what we have to do. Record your phone conversations. And for goodness gracious, use a little voice inflection, please. Yes, sir, the rate on this is very attractive and the closing costs are good. And have a frickin' cup of coffee, for God's sakes. Okay. Now, I love listening to originators. I love them because I'm listening as I'm in the lobby. I'm overhearing. And you hear this kind of almost need. Oh, yes, we're great. Our rates are great. And, you know, you can count on me. You know, I'm always available. Weekends, evenings. You know, I never go on vacation. Call me, you know. Wow. Please don't say I'm always available. Because nobody wants, do you want somebody who's always available? Because if they're always available, it means they have no what? No, yes, no life. Yeah, that's true. But also, they probably don't have any business either, right? If they're always available. I don't want anybody who's always available. You know what I want? You know what your customer wants? I want somebody who's always worth waiting for. You be that person. You be always worth waiting for. Now, how do you do that? Let's understand your markets. Let's start off with an advisor consultation. Here's the things you need to be doing, in my humble opinion, as an advisor. And as I said, look, I'm one of you guys, okay? So I'm on the front line. I have such respect for you. And I'm coming across direct and blunt because this is not a time for the, you know, well, you know, it's so nice. You did it. No, this is a time for us to be really blunt and direct here. Some of you have heard me speak many, many times. It's a little bit of a different tone. Why? Because I'm truly concerned. And I'm telling you from the heart, I want to help. Advisor consultation, it all starts with rate, right? I know it does, right? They're all killing you over the frickin' rate. So what do? Well, let's get the difference because we know every person out there knows that 4 7/8 is better than 5%, hopefully, right? They all know that 4 7. So we're going to lose this game. 4 7/8. We've got 5%. So what we need to do is break it down. How do we break it down? Okay, so on a $300,000 loan, an eighth hiring rate is $21 a month. Now that's what we're talking about. Because an eighth in rate, they don't know that. How many times have you called a customer to do their refinance? And you say, okay, so what's your current rate, Mr. and Mrs. Customer? 4 9/8, I don't know. You best believe they killed the mortgage professional for 60 days over that rate, okay, whatever it was. But then after closing, they don't even have a clue anymore. That's not what's important. $21 a month. Don't stop there. Don't stop there. Make it more tangible. There's 4.3 weeks in a month. Always divide the monthly number by 4.3. It's $4.88 a week. Here's just an honest question I have to you. Honest question. If you made an extra $4.88 a week, which by the way comes out to 65 cents a day. 65 cents a day. If you made an extra $4.88 a week, would it empower you to buy something? Would you say, okay, now I'm going to get the Mercedes? Now I'm going to get that vacation home? Good. I can finally afford the big screen TV. Would it even have an impact on one single decision? Would you deprive yourself if you didn't have the $4.88 a week? Would you say, honey, can't go to the movies. Kids, can't send you to private school. Sorry. Would it change one thing in your life? Tell me the truth. If I'm full of baloney, say it. Would it change one thing in your life? Yes or no? So why the hell are you driving me crazy over this stupid thing? Can't we focus on something much more important? Because that's what's really, is it the 65 cents a day? You go into Starbucks, and if you're with somebody, first of all, you're paying $5 for a cup of coffee. You can make it at home for a K-cup is 27 cents. You're waiting online 20 minutes to pay $5 for it, okay? So don't tell me that this is going to make a difference in your life. You got to drive me crazy. And if you're with somebody, almost a stranger, oh, I got you. Here's $5 for your coffee too. I'm not even thinking about it. Big spender I am. But yet when it comes to my mortgage advisor, I'm going to drive you crazy for 65 cents. It's because we haven't portrayed ourselves as an advisor yet. And they still think we're a salesperson. So what we need to do, team, is we need to change that. Change their focus. How do we do that? Well, look, first it's understanding what's going on in the market. Let me give you a quick rundown on what's happening with rates. This is a chart of the 10-year Treasury. Let it be known, mortgage rates are based on mortgage-backed securities, not the 10-year Treasury, but mortgage-backed securities are priced. 10-year Treasury is rate. It's a little easier. It's a good barometer. It's just simple to look at this way, okay? The Fed, what they did was they bought a lot, $4.5 trillion worth of Treasuries and mortgage bonds. They kept it on their balance sheet, and then Janet Yellen, part of her legacy, she didn't want to leave us with this craziness. She wanted to at least start to unwind it because it wasn't being unwound. As people paid off their mortgages, as they paid the principal portion, as treasuries matured, the Fed was repurchasing mortgage bonds and treasuries to the tune of $50 billion a month, $50 billion a month. So starting October of 2017, they said, hey, instead of buying $50 billion a month back, we'll only buy $40 billion. And take a look at what happened in rates here. Let me see if I get this pointer going here. Take a look. You see what happened here? They announced it here. Boom, rates go up. Now January, they cut it another 10 billion, so it went from 40 to 30. What happened to rates, everybody, in January? You lived through it, no? Boom. April, they did it again. They cut it from 30 billion a month to 20 billion a month between treasuries and mortgage bonds. Everyone, what happened in April? Boom. Now you see this little dip here. That's because we thought that Italy was going to leave the European Union. By the way, if it happens, I know you had Brexit, but I'm going to call it it'll leave, okay? So that caused the euro to falter, caused money to come in, but since that's been quelled, now we're going to resume that uptrend a little bit here. It's going to happen again in July. It's going to go from 20 billion a month to 10 billion a month. What do you think happens in July to rates, everybody? What do you think happens? Yes. Prepare your clients today. Probably going to see rates go up. Now today the Fed's going to hike rates by a quarter. That's not really what impacts interest rates. It's inflation, and it's this Fed buying, and what you're going to see, team, is you're going to see probably another leg higher in interest rates. Don't despair. The 5% yields that you're offering today, that's good, because you're planting the seeds for tomorrow's refinances. And there will be a refinance opportunity within 2 years, and here's why, because we're going to hit a recession. Recession means that rates will come down. How does housing do during recessions? Housing does very well historically. We have charts all over MBS where they talk about this. Housing does very well during recessions. Now, what's the housing market doing right now? Low inventory, strong demand. I don't have to tell you, although builders in your market are starting to build more. Rents are rising at 3.6% per year nationally, and rates, we expect it to be modestly higher, but not to derail the housing market. I see 4.5% to 5% appreciation. A lot of my colleagues, and I am so lucky and blessed that I get to meet frequently with some of the best minds in the world, the Peter Bookvars, the Art Cashins, the John Maldens of the world that are dear friends of mine that I get to spend time with. So you might say, okay, 4.5% to 5% appreciation, that's a big drop from what you've had here in Denver last year. In fact, you had 9.7%. So is that now going to be about half of that, and is that a bad thing? Well, look, if you don't understand compound interest, as Albert Einstein said, you will pay it. If you understand it, you will earn it. Look, if you have a $500,000 home here in Denver, and you only got 4.5% appreciation, you know 10 years from now that home would be appreciated by $276,000. By the way, if that person or couple rather lived there for 2 out of the 5 years before they sell it, that's a tax-free $276,000. Where are you going to create that kind of wealth? Real estate. That's 4.5% appreciation. So you're going to have Diana Oliks of the world. Diana Olik, we all know Diana Olik, right? Yes or no? Okay, so she's on CNBC always bad-mouthing the housing market. You shouldn't buy a home, you should rent. And this woman's been wrong for 6 years. She keeps banging the drum. And then she comes out with this thing saying, look, stocks last year went up 20%. Real estate only went up 6.3%. You should not buy a home. You should rent and take the money and put it in the stock market. Much better for you, right? Okay. Maybe it's just me, but have any of you ever bought a stock and it actually went down? Didn't go up 20%? Oh, so it's not just me, right? Yeah. Stocks don't always go up. Sorry, Diana. But here's the real thing that Diana doesn't understand. She doesn't understand the concept of leverage, and probably neither does your realtor, and probably neither does your customer. So let's explain leverage to them. So I know you cannot get a $100,000 home. I'm trying to make the numbers easy. On a $100,000 home, if it did go up indeed by 6.3%, how much did we gain in money? What was our profit, everybody? Say it. $6,300. So does everybody put 100% down, zero mortgage? Thank goodness they don't, because we'd be out of business. There'd be no conference, okay? People need mortgages. The most typical loan out there, according to the National Association of Realtors, is 10% down. So on a 10% down payment, what's 10% on $100,000, everyone? So your cash investment is $10,000. So if I make $6,300 on a $10,000 investment, can anybody tell me without a calculator, how much did I make as a return on my money? 63%. Is 63 bigger than 20? Yes. Explain this to your customer team. You can go ahead and take a picture of that if you want, but it's a really important concept that your customer and your realtor needs to understand. So let's talk about Denver specifically here, and I'm going to go kind of quick because you've got a great day ahead of you. So first thing about Denver, did you know that Denver's in the top 10% in jobs in the United States, the top 20% in median income, and the top 10% in historical appreciation? Well, you might have known that one. It's a very strong market. But Denver, the median home price right now is, to be exact, $459,000. Your cost per square foot is $352 a square foot. It's important things for you to know. Remember, are we salespeople or are we advisors? What business are we in? As advisors, knowing that we're in the business of real estate and money, these are things we need to know about our local market. It's our local market. It's your hometown. Your realtors don't even know this stuff. But let's say there's a custom home price. Customer's looking for a home at $600,000, so let's customize it, okay? Now, we should know that for the last 43 years, your appreciation over 43 years, two housing bubbles, been 4.91%. The forecast for the next year, 4.7%, and for the next 5 years cumulatively, 12.7%. Now, you might say, okay, Barry, that's a big drop there, 12.42%. You might say that's a big drop. It is, but it's still very meaningful over the next 5 years. Let's take a look at why. Because of the next 5 years, if you bought that home, you're going to gain $74,000, and there's the graph showing you each and every year. Remember, people shop with their eyes, they become attached with their heart, but they buy with their wallet and pocketbook. For the first time, sell to their wallet or pocketbook. You have people here constantly having to come up with full price or over asking price offers. Nobody wants to do that. Do you want to pay over asking price? Of course not. So many people flake and don't do it. Why don't you help your realtor beat the competition, beat the competing offer, get the deal by showing the customer the benefit of doing so and saying, hey, so you got to come in $15,000 over asking price, but you're going to make $74,000 over the next 5 years. Is that worth it to do? I'd take that trade. That's a good investment. Show them. Your inventory has dropped a whopping 17%. 17%. Do you know right now there's 4,000 realtors in Denver County fighting over 992 listings? Do you know that? It's a bloodbath. What hero would you be if you helped that realtor get more sales? They need you. Guys, while it's harder, it's never been easier. I want to say that again. While it's harder now, it's never been easier because your competition's not going to do this stuff. They don't have this stuff. Show your realtor this. So here's an interesting one. I love this. The population in Denver County is 693,000 people. There are 311,000 people renting in Denver County. Of the people renting, Did you know that right now there's about 80,000 of them that are renting but can afford to buy a home? Why are they doing that? I want you to remember that. 80,000 people out there, 80,000 that are renting but could afford to buy. And by the way, when you take first-time home buyers, ages 27 to 35, every year, these are people that don't currently own a home between 27 and 35, every year 24,000 people in this age group will buy a home, every year. How many homes need to, or will be qualified to buy a home? How many homes need to be built to meet demand? 7,300 a year need to be built, and now you are seeing about exact supply and demand. That's why your appreciation is slowing. Builders have finally caught up in this market, and you're probably noticing it. But the increase in construction is the reason why your appreciation will slow. It's not bad. You can still make lots of money, but because you have more supply, which is desperately needed, you're finally going to see a little bit of slowdown in appreciation. Your job market is incredible here. I mean, for goodness gracious, look at the job creations. Your unemployment rate is a staggering 2.6%. I bet you if you're looking for employees, it's very hard. You can forget getting somebody who's unemployed. You're going to only be able to hire an employer if you poach them from somewhere else. Am I right? This is an incredible market. And your affordability is pretty good. Your affordability is 85 on the reading. This is a great market. You should share this with everybody. So why not? Co-brand it with your realtor, send it out, hot links to the email, hot links to the website, hot link to the phone number, and send out this amazing report. And best yet, you know what people don't do? They don't contact the listing agent. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But how powerful would it be to call the listing agent and say, hey, Mr. and Ms. Listing Agent, we got your customer on the purchase of your home. Yes, they're qualified. Yes, we can give you status. Here's my contact information. But by the way, would you like me to share with you? I'm sending you here, check your email. I just sent you the piece that we sent to the customer that helped them go $15,000 over asking price, outbid somebody else on the home that you're selling. When they see it, you know what they're going to say? This happens every time. You're going to get 100% consistency. They're going to go, wow, wow. Would you like me to send this to you so that on all of your transactions you could send it? What are they going to say? No. Don't help me make more sales. Don't help me outbid my competition. No. Realtors, are they loyal? Sometimes yes. But when it comes to putting more food on the table for their family or loyalty to somebody else who's not up to speed, more food on my table for my family is going to win every single time. You tell stories about how realtors you did so much for and they're not loyal. I know we all do. I've been in the business for a long time. Whose fault is that? And listen, sometimes they could be a little nicer about it, but isn't it our fault that we're not creating value to help them? And if somebody else creates greater value to help them, we have to think about that, okay? Does it pay to rent today? There's so many renters in Denver. Remember those 80,000 people? Should they be renting? Well, let's use a hypothetical scenario. So let's take a $600,000 home. Now we know the cost per square foot is $352 a square foot. So that's about a 1,700 square foot home for $600,000. It's expensive here in Denver, right? So because it's so expensive, we know the cost to rent is $1.71 a square foot. So on a $600,000 home, maybe you could agree with this, but about $2,900 a month rent. That sound about right? Can I get a yeah? Okay, so we put a little something in there for renter's insurance, and now the national average for rent's going up at 3.7%, 3.6% per year. But in Denver, they're going up at 3% per year in this county. So we have that data. Now, if you did a 90 LTV on this loan, 540 loan, and you were to say, okay, it's a 30-year loan, closing costs, let's just put in $12,000. We know the real estate taxes are $3,360. We already have that data. We know the MI because we already have that data. We know the homeowners insurance. Here's something else. There's no homeowners association, but let's put something in there for repairs. Why? Because when you buy a home, you're going to incur repair costs. When you rent, you don't have to worry about that. That's on the landlord. So one of you might say, well, Barry, aren't we telling them something bad? Yes. Tell your customer everything bad you can. Because you know what you build? Trust. Thank you. What is sales all about, everybody? Trust. Trust is the most important element. You build trust the fastest by warning them and telling them all the bad stuff. You go to the restaurant, what does the waitress say? Can I have the meatloaf? Waitress goes, don't get it, it's been sitting. You like that waitress more or less. You tip that waitress more or less. They told you something bad, but you trust them more so you feel more connected. I like to go to a store in Jersey to buy some clothes. This store, I won't give you the name of it, but one of the salespeople persons, Larry, can't stand when Larry's out there. Whatever you put on, whatever you put on. Oh, Barry, that's fantastic. I'm like, Larry, don't you think it's a little short, the jacket, you know? It's like, no, in Europe, that's the latest style. Everybody's wearing it like that right now. I'm like, come on. That's not what I want. You know what I want? I want the guy who says, no, I wouldn't get that. That doesn't look right on you. Because when they say, hey, man, that looks really good, do you believe them? Some people are still skeptical. But does it help you a little bit maybe believe them if they did that? Of course it does. So now, we put in $250 a month for repairs because we have the data for what it should be approximately, but you can always adjust that. And then the cost to sell. Because if you're renting, you don't need a realtor. But if you own, you may need a realtor. And because you need a realtor, let's put in a 6% commission, which is a lot of money. Let's put that in there. And then if you're going to be there for 9 years, and we know the forecasted appreciation is going to be 3.32% per year over the 9 years on average, the last thing I need to know is your tax situation. See, what tax bracket you're in is important, and you might not know that, so it's easy. You just press this button, your tax table comes up, it'll tell you based on their income what their tax table is, you press that. And then the last thing is, and here's the real key, what's your deduction, your standard deduction? If you're single, it's $12,000 a year. If you're married, it's $24,000 a year. What does that mean? That means that if you're renting, you're going to get a $24,000 deduction. So be very careful with the new tax laws. It's only tax benefit if it's over that $24,000 a year in tax deductible items. So let's take a quick look at the breakdown. So if I purchase this home, it's going to cost me $800 or more, $800 a month more than renting if I buy it. $800 a month more. So that customer might say, forget it, Barry. I'm going to rent. It's $800 more to own. That doesn't make sense for me, even if they're in one of those 80,000 people who are qualified. So then what do? You say, look at the purple line. At just 3% increase per year, look at how the rent starts to eat into it. Now look, you're going to pay more for renting over the 9 years. It's going to be about $43,000, I'm sorry, more to own. You'll pay $43,000 more to own than you would to rent over the 9 years, but it's not what you thought it was, because $800 a month over 9 years is going to come out to like $100,000, right? So when we take a look at this, here's the big one. At just 3.32% appreciation, 3.32% on $600,000, you're going to make $204,000 tax-free. And then here's the best kept secret, ladies and gentlemen, in the mortgage business. Your amortization, you start off with a $540 loan, you paid it down to $448, you picked up $91,000 in amortization. We all know principal and interest goes to the lender. Where does the principal go? Where does the principal go? It's your own money. You're literally giving the lender your money to hold for you in a forced savings account. Maybe the best forced savings account there is, and it compounds. $91,000. The customer's making you crazy for 65 cents a day, and we don't want to tell them about the $91,000? That just doesn't make sense. Tax benefit, cumulative, over the 9 years, it's only $6,000, $5,900. Not a big tax benefit. It's nothing. What does that come out to on average? $50 a month? Not a lot. So this is not a big selling feature. Let my competitor tell them about, oh, your mortgage is tax deductible. The interest tax deductible of $750,000. Oh, yeah, ha, ha. And then look like a fool when they go to their account and they find out a big difference, okay? You be the one that gives them all the good information. You be the advisor. And then, hey, look, when you sell the home, that realtor cost is going to be $48,000. Tell them the bad stuff. Is it better to buy or is it better to rent? Let's see. If you purchase this home 9 years later, you'd be better off by $198,000, almost $200,000, let's call it. Is it better to buy? Heck yeah. Those 81,000 people that can qualify right here in your backyard, the only reason I think they're not doing it is because they don't know this. Because look, you're in the business. You do this every day. And if you didn't know this, there's no chance your realtor knows this. And if you don't know it and your realtor doesn't know it, how in the world is your customer going to know this? That's why 81,000 people are renting and it should be buying. That's simple. Now look, for the first 3 years, you'd be in the negative if you owned. So here's our chance to be honest. Hey look, if you think you're going to move in 2 years or so, probably rent. But if you think you're going to live there 4 or 5 years, heck man, even 5 years, I mean, it starts to get really big, the numbers. And then send this out. English, Spanish, I mean, send this thing out. Use these tools. Now, here's one of the best things you could do is your realtors right now are desperate for motivation for how they can get a fire under the rear end of their customer. Every single realtor is saying, how can I motivate my customer? Because look, real world scenario, what happens? There's a hot listing that comes out. They tell their customer, and the customer's like, well, you know, I don't know, let me think about it. And does it stick around or it's gone? That realtor needs something to motivate them. Or what if the customer says, yeah, you know what? We're going to go in the fall on a big European vacation, so maybe we'll just wait, we'll come back and we'll do it, and blah, 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 and this, that. Let me show you. Let me show you what it would cost to wait. And this is what you need to be doing with your customers. That home today is $600,000. We know in Denver County, in 6 months, the appreciation rate is going to be 2.32%. We know that in 1 year, it's 4.7%. So what does that do to the value of the home? It increases in just 6 months to $614,000. And we also know that if you wanted to keep the same 90 LTV, that means you've got to borrow another $12,500. Think about that. That costs more. And today you might get 4 3/4 and 0, maybe, I don't know, 5% and 0. But the Mortgage Bankers Association says that those rates will go up 3/8% in 6 months. That's the MBA of America's forecast. They say in a year that rate will go up even further to 3/4% higher than you have today. Think about that. That's going to cost more. So what's the result? Here's the result. The result is that if you wait just 6 months, your monthly payment goes up $201 a month. You're killing me over 65 cents a day, and you're missing this. But that's not the worst of it, because you would have lost $14,000 in appreciation and $4,000 in amortization. You'd lose $18,000. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, buy the home today, and it'll pay for your European vacation and save you $200 a month every month after that. If you wait a year, it's going to cost you $412 a month more, 1 year, and you would have lost $36,000. Guys, change their focus off the 65 cents a day. You see, is this a salesperson or is this the things that we're talking about here? If you're not too good to wash your hands, and if you really start expanding what makes a difference for that customer, this is not just what the customer wants and needs, it's what your realtor wants and needs. And I don't tell you this because undoubtedly you will make more money. Undoubtedly the realtor will make more money, but you're helping the customer, because it's a shame. How many of your customers waited 6 months? Come on. How many people do you, got it right here, how many people do you know they didn't want to go $5,000 over asking price, and now rates have gone up, prices have gone up, and it would cost them so much more every month? Think about all of the experiences that you've had. Don't let it happen again, and make it easy for your customer to understand and see it. Now, some people like the graphs in picture format, so we give you that too, that you could show them. Now, look, team, I want to tell you, if you'd like to get on board with us with MBS Highway, I know many of you already are and you use this stuff, but if you'd like to get on board with us with MBS Highway, we have a special deal with AIME here. So if you wanted to, I just want to tell you about it real quick, because if you'd like to, Dan's back there and he can help you. If you go to our site to get all the stuff we offer, it's $189 a month or $18.99 a year. But if you do this today, everything you saw, and there's so much more, and we protect you on rate and all that stuff, it's $9.99 or $99 a month. I mean, heck, they're in a big money business. It'll help you get a lot more deals and help you get a lot more real estate agents. If you'd like to, we can do that. If you don't do it with us, please start to have these advisor conversations and start to put together discussions and talks that look this way. I'm not saying, hey, you have to jump on with us, but if you do, we do make it easy. And there's one other thing we have. We have an amazing open house flyer kit that, because of our affiliation with AIME, this is something we sell for $600. It's the only open house flyer that gives the local appreciation statistics and shows the growth. We sell it for $600 a year, but because of our affiliation with AIME and because of what we have here. And by the way, we've got all the statistics, the local statistics, how far it is to the closest schools for the different schools, student to teacher ratios, all of the different points of interest, Google Maps, how to get there. It's a really phenomenal open house kit. We sell it for $600. We give it to you for free if you sign up, because of our affiliation with AIME. So team, listen, taking action is really important. It is critical for us, because there's an old Chinese proverb, and it says, if you know, but you don't act, then you don't know. And all I'm saying to you folks is, now you know. I thank you so much for your time today. We really, really appreciate you. Thank you very, very much.